The journey begins at the edge of a small, timeless town, just as the blue hour settles over the cobblestones. You find yourself walking slowly, each step light and rhythmic, feeling the cool evening air settle like a soft weight upon your shoulders. There is no destination in mind, only the simple pleasure of movement. You pass by row after row of weathered stone cottages, where the windows glow with a warm amber light, and the scent of wood smoke and dried lavender drifts through the air. The world here does not demand your attention. It only invites you to witness the stillness of the walls and the gentle shadows stretching long and thin across the narrow lanes. The air around you is neither warm nor cold, but something in between, something that feels just right against your skin. It carries the weight of evening in it, that particular quality of air that comes when the day has finished its work and is beginning to settle down into night. You breathe it in slowly, feeling it fill your lungs completely, and then you breathe it out again, just as slowly, watching the faint mist of your breath disappear into the gathering dusk. Each breath is easy and unhurried, and with each one, you feel yourself settling more deeply into the rhythm of this place, into the quiet pace that governs everything here. The cobblestones beneath your feet are not uniform in size or shape. Some are larger, some smaller, some perfectly round, and others more oval or irregular. They have been worn smooth by countless footsteps over countless years, and they fit together in a way that suggests patience and care, as if the people who laid them down understood that there was no rush, that the work would be finished when it was finished, and not before. You can see the joints between the stones, thin lines of darker material that hold everything in place, and you can see how some of the stones have settled slightly lower than others, creating gentle undulations in the surface of the lane. Your footsteps make a soft sound as you walk, a quiet tap that is absorbed almost immediately by the evening air. The sound is rhythmic and regular, a pattern that repeats itself over and over without variation. Step, 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 step. Each step is the same as the one before it, and each one will be the same as the one that follows. There is comfort in this repetition, in the knowledge that nothing unexpected will happen, that the path will continue as it has been continuing, leading you forward at your own pace, in your own time. The cottages that line the lane are built close together, their walls sharing common foundations, their roof lines creating an uneven but harmonious pattern against the sky. Each cottage is made from the same pale gray stone, quarried from somewhere nearby, cut and shaped by hand, and laid down stone by stone until the walls were complete. The stone has weathered over time, its surface softening and becoming textured, with small patches of lichen growing here and there in shades of green and gold. The lichen does not cover the stone completely, but appears in irregular patches, adding another layer of texture and color to the walls. The windows of the cottages are small and deep-set, positioned high enough that you cannot easily see inside as you pass. Each window is framed by shutters made from wood that has been painted in soft, muted colors, pale blue, faded green, dusty gray. The paint has weathered and peeled in places, revealing the wood beneath, and the shutters themselves hang slightly askew on their hinges, giving them a gentle, asymmetrical appearance. Behind the windows, you can see the warm glow of lamplight, steady and unchanging, casting a soft illumination that barely reaches beyond the glass. The light from these windows does not spill out into the lane. in any dramatic way. It simply exists quietly and modestly, providing just enough brightness to suggest warmth and safety within. As you pass each cottage, you are aware of this light, aware of the presence of people inside, going about their evening routines, though you cannot see them and they cannot see you. There is something comforting in this awareness, in knowing that you are not alone, even though you are walking by yourself through the quiet lane. The scent of wood smoke is everywhere, drifting down from the chimneys and settling into the cool evening air. It is a clean, pleasant smell, the smell of fires that have been carefully tended, fed with dry wood that burns evenly and produces little soot or ash. Mixed with the wood smoke is the scent of lavender, faint but persistent, coming from the dried bundles that hang near doorways and from the small gardens that border some of the cottages. The lavender has finished blooming for the season, its flowers now brown and brittle, but the scent remains, released into the air by the evening breeze. As you continue walking, you notice other scents as well, the earthy smell of damp stone, the slightly sweet smell of fallen leaves beginning to decay, the faint aroma of bread that was baked earlier in the day and is now cooling somewhere behind closed doors. These scents layer over one another, creating a complex but subtle fragrance that changes slightly with each step you take, each shift in the breeze. You do not analyze these scents or try to identify each one individually. You simply experience them as part of the whole, as part of the atmosphere of this place. The shadows in the lane are long and soft, stretching out from the cottages and from the occasional tree or post that stands by the side of the path. These shadows are not dark or threatening, but gentle and indistinct, their edges blurred by the fading light. They do not hide anything or obscure your view. They simply add another dimension to the scene, another layer of texture and depth that makes everything feel more substantial, more real, more present. You walk a bit further, and the lane begins to curve gently to the left, following the natural contours of the land. The curve is gradual and easy, requiring no adjustment in your pace or stride. You follow it without thinking, letting the path guide you, trusting that it knows where it is going, even if you do not. The cottages continue on both sides, their presence constant and reassuring, and the warm glow from their windows continues to provide a soft, ambient light that supplements the fading daylight. As you walk, you become aware of the texture of the air itself, the way it feels against your face and hands. It is cool, but not uncomfortably so, and it has a slight weight to it, a density that comes from the moisture that has begun to settle as the temperature drops. This moisture does not form into mist or fog, but simply exists as a subtle dampness in the air, making everything feel slightly softer, slightly more muted. Your skin feels the coolness of this air, and it is pleasant, refreshing, without being sharp or biting. The lane levels out again after the curve, and you find yourself walking along a straight section that seems to stretch ahead for some distance. The cottages on either side are spaced a bit more widely apart here, with small gardens filling the spaces between them. These gardens are simple and unpretentious, filled with plants that are suited to this climate and this season. You can see the dark shapes of rosemary bushes, their leaves still green and fragrant, and the tall stalks of hollyhocks that have finished blooming and are now preparing for winter. The gardens are bordered by low stone walls, just high enough to mark the boundary between public and private space, but not so high as to create any sense of separation or exclusion. In one of the gardens you notice a small statue, barely visible in the fading light. It appears to be made of the same gray stone as the cottages, and it depicts a figure in a simple, unadorned robe. The figure's face is smooth and featureless, weathered away by years of exposure to wind and rain, but the overall form is still clear. The statue stands in the center of the garden, surrounded by herbs and flowers, a quiet presence that seems to be keeping watch over the plants, though it does not move or show any sign of awareness. You pause for a moment to look at it, feeling a sense of calm in its stillness, and then you continue on your way. The straight section of the lane eventually gives way to another gentle curve, this time to the right. You follow this curve as you followed the previous one, letting the path determine your direction, feeling no need to question or resist. The curve brings you to a place where the lane narrows slightly, and the cottages press in a bit more closely on either side. The walls of the cottages are so close here that you could reach out and touch both sides at once if you extended your arms, though you do not do this. You simply walk through, feeling the slight sense of enclosure, the way the space around you becomes more intimate and contained. This narrower section of the lane does not last long. After a short distance it opens up again, and you find yourself in a small square, a widening of the lane that creates a space where several paths converge. The square is paved with the same cobblestones as the lane, but here they are arranged in a circular pattern, radiating out from a central point. In the very center of the square stands a stone pillar, about waist height, with a flat top that has been worn smooth by the hands of countless people who have rested their own hands there over the years. You walk to the pillar and place your hand on the smooth stone, feeling its coolness and solidity, feeling the connection to all those who have stood in this exact spot before you. The cottages on either side of the lane stand close together, their walls built from pale gray stone that has softened with age. Some of the stones are covered in moss, dark green and velvety, growing in the cracks and crevices where mortar has worn away. The moss is thick in some places and thin in others, creating patterns on the walls that shift and change depending on how the light falls. You can see how it grows more abundantly on the north-facing walls, where the sun does not reach as often, and how it clusters around the bases of the walls where moisture tends to collect during rain. The windows are small and deep-set, framed by wooden shutters painted in faded shades of blue and green. The paint on these shutters has weathered over many seasons, peeling away in some areas to reveal the bare wood underneath, and in other areas fading to pale, washed-out versions of their original colors. Some shutters hang perfectly straight, while others tilt slightly to one side, held in place by old iron hinges that have begun to rust but still function as they were meant to. Behind the glass of each window you can see the warm glow of lamplight, steady and unchanging, casting gentle shadows on the interior walls that you cannot quite see but can sense are there. The light from these lamps is not bright or harsh. It is a soft, golden light that seems to come from oil lamps or candles rather than electric bulbs, though you cannot be certain. What you can be certain of is the quality of the light, the way it creates a sense of warmth and safety, the way it suggests that inside these cottages people are settling in for the evening, finishing their simple meals, tending to small tasks, preparing for rest. You do not see these people, and they do not see you, but there is a sense of companionship in knowing that you are all part of the same evening, all experiencing the same transition from day to night. As you continue walking, your pace remains slow and steady. There is no hurry in your steps, no urgency in your movement. Each step takes the same amount of time as the one before it, and each step requires the same small effort, the gentle lifting of the foot, the smooth forward motion, the soft placement back down onto the cobblestones. This rhythm is comforting and meditative, allowing your mind to settle into a state of calm observation rather than active thought. You notice things without analyzing them, see things without judging them, experience things without trying to make sense of them. You notice, for instance, the way the cobblestones vary in color, some being lighter gray and others darker, some having flecks of white or black embedded in them, and others being more uniform in tone. You notice the way the stones are fitted together, the careful arrangement that allows them to support weight and drain water while still providing a smooth enough surface for walking. You notice the slight depression that runs down the center of the lane, worn there by cart wheels over many years, a gentle valley in the stone that collects rainwater when it falls and directs it toward the drains that are spaced at regular intervals along the sides of the lane. These drains are simple openings in the stone, covered by iron grates that have been worn smooth by the passage of time. The grates have a pattern to them, a series of parallel bars with small decorative elements at the intersections, and through the gaps between the bars you can see darkness below, though whether it is the darkness of water or simply empty space, you cannot tell and do not feel compelled to investigate. The drains serve their purpose quietly and without fanfare, just as everything else in this town seems to do. The evening air continues to cool as you walk, the temperature dropping slowly and steadily as the last of the day's warmth dissipates into the atmosphere. You can feel this cooling on your skin, a gradual change that is noticeable only if you pay attention to it. It is not an uncomfortable cooling, not a chill that makes you wish for warmer clothing, but simply a natural progression, the earth releasing the heat it absorbed during the day and returning to the cooler state that is more common during the hours of darkness. Along with this cooling comes a change in the quality of the light. The blue hour is deepening now, moving toward the darker blue that precedes true night. The sky above the roof lines is no longer pale, but has become richer and more saturated, a color that seems to hold depth and dimension, as if you could reach up and touch it, as if it were not empty space, but something more substantial. The first stars are beginning to appear in this darkening sky, faint points of light that flicker into existence one by one, so gradually that you cannot say exactly when any particular star first became visible. You pass a cottage with a small wooden bench beside the door. The bench is old and weathered, its surface smooth from years of use, years of people sitting there in the morning sun or the evening shade, watching the world go by, or simply resting for a moment before continuing with their day. The wood of the bench has faded to a pale gray that almost matches the stone of the cottages, and it is worn in the center where countless people have sat, creating a gentle depression that would cradle someone who chose to rest there now. Beside the bench sits a clay pot, round and unglazed, filled with dried herbs that release a faint, pleasant scent into the evening air. The herbs are past their season now, their leaves brown and brittle, their stems dry and fragile, but they still carry within them the essence of what they were when they were fresh and green. The scent is subtle, barely noticeable, unless you pause and breathe deeply, but when you do, you can detect notes of thyme and sage, oregano and marjoram all blending together into a fragrance that speaks of summer gardens and warm afternoons, of careful cultivation and patient harvest. You pause for a moment near the bench, not to sit, but simply to observe, to take in the small scene that this doorway presents. The bench with its smooth, worn surface, the pot with its dried herbs, the door itself made of dark wood that has been oiled to protect it from the weather, with a simple iron handle, and a small window set high in the frame. Everything here is simple and functional, designed to serve a purpose rather than to impress or attract attention. And yet, in its simplicity, there is a kind of beauty, a rightness that comes from things being exactly what they need to be and nothing more. After this brief pause, you move forward again, your pace unchanged, your breathing slow and steady. The lane continues ahead of you, winding gently through the town, and you follow it without question, without planning, simply allowing it to lead you wherever it is meant to lead you. There is a sense of trust in this following, a willingness to let go of control and simply be carried along by the path itself, by the rhythm of your own footsteps, by the gathering darkness and the cooling air and the soft sounds of the evening. The sounds are indeed soft, barely there at all, but present nonetheless. You can hear the distant sound of water, perhaps from a fountain or a stream, a gentle trickling that provides a subtle background to the silence. You can hear the whisper of the breeze as it moves through the narrow spaces between cottages, carrying with it the scents of wood smoke and lavender, the coolness of the evening, the promise of night. You can hear the occasional creak of a shutter moving slightly on its hinges, the soft rustle of leaves from a tree that grows in one of the small gardens, the faint sound of a door closing somewhere in the distance. These sounds do not intrude or demand attention. They are part of the fabric of the evening, woven into the silence in such a way that they enhance it rather than breaking it. They remind you that this town is not empty, that there is life here, quiet life that goes about its business without fuss or noise, life that respects the stillness and contributes to it rather than disrupting it. The lane curves gently to the left, following the natural contour of the land. As you round the curve, you see more cottages ahead, their windows glowing with the same warm light. The roof lines are uneven, some higher than others, creating a gentle rhythm against the darkening sky. Clay tiles cover the roofs, their surfaces worn smooth by rain and wind, and here and there patches of moss grow in the sheltered places where water tends to collect. The lane curves gently to the left, following the natural contour of the land. As you round the curve, you see more cottages ahead, their windows glowing with the same warm light. The roof lines are uneven, some higher than others, creating a gentle rhythm against the darkening sky. Clay tiles cover the roofs, their surfaces worn smooth by rain and wind, and here and there patches of moss grow in the sheltered places where water tends to collect. The tiles overlap one another in a pattern that has been repeated for centuries, each tile fitting against its neighbors in a way that allows rain to flow downward and away, protecting the interiors below. You can see where some of the tiles have shifted slightly over time, creating small gaps or irregularities in the pattern. These imperfections do not detract from the overall effect, but rather add to it, creating a sense of age and authenticity, a reminder that these cottages have stood for many years and will likely stand for many more. The moss that grows on the tiles is the same dark green as the moss on the walls, and it creates soft, organic patterns that contrast with the geometric regularity of the tile arrangement. As you continue along the lane, you notice a narrow alleyway opening between two cottages, barely wide enough for a single person to pass through. The walls on either side are covered in climbing ivy, its leaves dark and glossy even in the fading light. The ivy has been growing here for years, perhaps decades, and it has created a dense covering that softens the hard edges of the stone walls and fills the air with a faint, green scent that mingles with the other scents of the evening. You turn into the alley, feeling the space close around you in a way that is comforting rather than confining. The walls are close enough that you could touch both sides at once if you extended your arms, but you do not feel crowded or restricted. Instead, there is a sense of shelter here, a sense of being held gently by the architecture itself. The ivy brushes against your shoulders as you walk, its leaves cool and slightly damp from the evening air, and the sound of your footsteps changes, becoming even softer as the walls absorb and muffle the sound. The alley is not long, perhaps 20 or 30 paces from one end to the other, but you walk through it slowly, taking your time, noticing the way the light filters down from above, the way the walls seem to lean in slightly, not from any structural deficiency, but simply from age and the natural settling of stone over time. The floor of the alley is paved with smaller cobblestones than those in the main lane, and these are more irregular in shape and size, creating a surface that is slightly uneven, but still easy to walk on. At the far end of the alley you can see an opening, and as you approach it, the space begins to widen and the walls begin to pull back. You emerge into a small courtyard, circular in shape, and paved with the same smooth cobblestones as the main lane. The courtyard is not large, perhaps 10 paces across, and it is enclosed on all sides by the walls of surrounding cottages. The walls rise up 2 stories, their windows dark at this hour, their shutters closed, creating a sense of privacy and seclusion. In the very center of the courtyard stands a fountain, simple and unadorned. It is made of the same gray stone as everything else, carved into a basic cylindrical shape, with a shallow basin at the bottom. Water flows from a spout at the top, emerging from the mouth of a simple carved face that has been worn smooth by years of water flowing over it. The features of the face are barely distinguishable now, just vague suggestions of eyes and mouth and nose, but the overall form is still clear enough to understand what it once was. The water falls from the spout into the basin below, creating a gentle, continuous sound that fills the courtyard. It is not a loud sound, not a splash or a crash, but a soft trickling, a musical note that seems to resonate in the enclosed space and create a sense of calm and peace. The sound is constant and unchanging, neither speeding up nor slowing down, and it provides a focal point for your attention, something to listen to, something to center yourself around. You walk slowly around the fountain, following the circular edge of the courtyard, watching the water as it falls. The surface of the basin ripples outward in perfect, concentric circles from the point where the water strikes it, each circle expanding until it reaches the edge of the basin and disappears. The water in the basin is clear and still except for these ripples, and you can see the bottom of the basin, lined with smooth stones and a few coins that have been tossed there over the years, their surfaces dulled by the water, but still faintly visible. The air in the courtyard is cooler than in the lane, perhaps because of the enclosed space, perhaps because of the presence of the water. It has a different quality here, of freshness that comes from the moisture evaporating from the fountain's basin and mixing with the evening air. You can smell the water, a clean, mineral scent that is barely there but unmistakable, and you can feel the slight dampness on your skin, a coolness that is pleasant and refreshing. You complete your circuit around the fountain and find yourself standing near the opening to another alley on the opposite side of the courtyard. This alley is similar to the one you entered through, narrow and lined with stone walls, though this one lacks the ivy covering and presents bare stone instead. The stone here is rough and textured, showing the marks of the tools that shaped it and the weathering of many seasons. There are no plants growing here, no moss or lichen, just the stone itself in its natural state. You enter this second alley and begin to walk through it, your pace still slow and measured, your breathing still deep and even. The walls on either side are close, just as they were in the first alley, and the space feels enclosed and protected. The floor is paved with the same small, irregular cobblestones, and your footsteps make the same soft, muffled sound. As you walk, you trail your hand along one of the walls, feeling the roughness of the stone under your fingertips, feeling the coolness that has settled into it as the day has faded into evening. The texture of the stone is complex and varied. In some places it is relatively smooth, the surface worn down by time and weather. In other places it is rough and pitted, with small indentations and protrusions that create a landscape of tiny hills and valleys. You can feel the individual grains of the stone, the way they are compacted together to form a solid mass, the way they have held their position for years, and will continue to hold it for years to come. There is something grounding about this contact with the stone, something that connects you to the physical reality of this place, to the solidity and permanence of its construction. The alley leads you back to the main lane, which continues to wind through the town in a gentle, unhurried way. You turn to the right, following the lane as it slopes slightly downward. The descent is gradual, barely noticeable, but you can feel it in the way your steps become just a little lighter, requiring just a little less effort. The lane continues its meandering path, never straight for long, always curving gently to follow the contours of the land, to accommodate the placement of cottages, to create small pockets of space where gardens can grow and courtyards can rest. The cottages continue on either side, their windows still glowing with that same warm, steady light, though the glow seems softer now, as if the lamps inside are being turned down in preparation for sleep. You can see how the light no longer reaches very far from the windows, how it creates only small pools of illumination that do not extend into the lane itself. The spaces between these pools of light are filled with shadow, gentle and welcoming, creating a rhythm of light and dark that your eyes follow as you walk. You pass a cottage with a small garden in front, enclosed by a low stone wall. The wall is built from the same gray stone as the cottages themselves, each stone carefully placed and fitted together to create a sturdy barrier that has stood for many years. The top of the wall is smooth and rounded from weathering, and here and there small plants have taken root in the cracks between the stones, adding touches of green to the gray surface. The wall is not tall, perhaps waist-high, just enough to mark the boundary of the garden without blocking the view of what lies within. The garden itself is filled with herbs and flowers that have finished blooming for the season. You can see the dark shapes of rosemary and thyme, sage and lavender, all growing in neat rows that suggest careful tending. The plants are still green, their leaves holding on to the last of the season's vitality, though they have lost the vibrant brightness of summer and taken on the darker, more muted tones of late autumn. Between the rows of herbs you can see the bare earth, dark and rich, waiting for the next season's planting. A stone path winds through the garden, leading from the wall to the cottage door. The path is made of flat stones, each one carefully selected for its size and shape, laid down in a pattern that creates a smooth, level surface for walking. The stones have been worn smooth by countless footsteps over the years, and their surfaces gleam faintly in the dim light, polished by use and weathering. The path curves slightly as it makes its way through the garden, avoiding the planted areas, creating a gentle line that is pleasing to the eye. At the end of the path, near the cottage door, stands a wooden bench, similar to others you have seen, but with its own particular character. The wood is weathered to a pale gray, almost white in some places, and the surface shows the marks of many seasons of exposure to sun and rain and wind. The bench is simple in design, with straight legs and a flat seat and a low back, all made from planks of wood that have been fitted together with care. Someone has carved initials into one of the armrests, the letters deep and clear, though you cannot make out what they say in the fading light. You continue past this cottage and come to another, and then another, each one similar to the last, but each with its own small details that make it unique. A particular arrangement of flower pots beside a door, a vine growing up a wall in a distinctive pattern, a shutter painted in a slightly different shade of blue or green. These details are subtle, easily missed if you were walking quickly or not paying attention. But when you walk slowly and observe carefully, they reveal themselves, adding layers of interest and character to what might otherwise seem like endless repetition. The lane continues to wind its way through the town, and you continue to follow it, your pace unchanged, your breathing steady and even. There is a meditation in this walking, a quality of present moment awareness that requires no effort to maintain. You are simply here, simply moving, simply observing, and that is enough. There is no need to think about where you are going or what you will do when you get there. There is only the walking itself, the placing of one foot in front of the other, the gentle rhythm of movement that carries you forward through the evening. Further along, you come to a bridge that crosses a narrow canal. The bridge is made of the same gray stone as the cottages, its surface smooth and slightly arched. You step onto the bridge and pause in the middle, looking down at the water below. The canal is still and dark, reflecting the deepening sky above. You can see the faint outlines of the buildings on either side, their shapes distorted and soft by the gentle movement of the water. The sound of the water is different here, quieter than the fountain in the courtyard, more of a whisper than a trickle. You can hear it lapping gently against the stone walls of the canal, a rhythmic sound that seems to match the rhythm of your own breathing. You stand on the bridge for a while, watching the water, feeling the coolness of the stone railing under your hands. When you finally continue on, crossing to the other side of the bridge, you find yourself on a lane that runs parallel to the canal. The path is wider here, with room for two people to walk side by side, though there is no one else around. The cottages on this side of the canal are similar to those on the other side, but here they are set back a little from the path, with small gardens in between. The gardens are simple and well tended, filled with plants that thrive in the evening cool night-blooming jasmine, its small white flowers releasing a sweet, subtle fragrance, and lavender, its stems tall and straight, its flowers long since faded to brown. You can smell the lavender as you pass, a dry, comforting scent that mingles with the jasmine and the ever-present smell of wood smoke. The lane continues to follow the canal, curving gently as the water curves. You walk slowly, your pace matching the slow, steady flow of the canal beside you. The light continues to fade, but it does so gradually, without urgency. The sky above is now a deep, soft blue, and the first stars are beginning to appear, faint and far away. You pass another bridge, smaller than the first, just wide enough for a single person to cross. This bridge has no railing, only a slight rise in the middle to help guide your steps. You do not cross it, but continue along the canal, watching as the water flows beneath the bridge and continues on its slow journey through the town. The cottages on this lane have fewer windows facing the street, and those that do are covered with curtains or shutters, drawn closed for the evening. The light that escapes through the cracks is soft and muted, barely enough to illuminate the path ahead, but you do not need much light. The path is familiar now, even though you have never walked it before. It is the kind of path that requires no thinking, no planning. You simply follow it, trusting that it will lead you where you need to go. As you walk, you begin to notice the small sounds of the evening, the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze, the distant sound of a door closing softly, the faint creak of a wooden shutter moving slightly on its hinges. These sounds are not intrusive. They are part of the fabric of the evening, woven into the stillness in a way that makes the silence feel deeper rather than broken. You come to a place where the canal widens into a small pond. The water here is even stiller than before, so still that it looks like glass. The surface reflects the sky perfectly, creating a mirror image of the deep blue above and the faint stars beginning to emerge. You stand at the edge of the pond, looking down at the reflection, feeling as though you are standing between two skies. There is a bench here, set back from the water's edge, beneath a tree whose branches spread wide and low. The bench is made of weathered wood, its surface smooth and slightly curved to fit the shape of someone sitting. You walk over to the bench and sit down slowly, feeling the cool wood beneath you, feeling the way your body settles into a position of rest. From this vantage point, you can see across the pond to the cottages on the other side. Their windows are still glowing, though the light seems fainter now, as if the lamps inside are being turned down for the night. You watch as one window goes dark, then another, each light extinguishing without ceremony, simply fading away until there is only darkness behind the glass. The tree above you is an old one, its trunk thick and gnarled, its branches reaching out in all directions. You cannot see the leaves clearly in the fading light, but you can hear them rustling softly in the breeze. a gentle sound that reminds you of water flowing over smooth stones. You lean back against the bench, feeling the solid wood support your weight, and you close your eyes for a moment, just listening. When you open your eyes again, the sky has grown darker still. The stars are more visible now, scattered across the expanse of blue like tiny points of light. They do not twinkle or flash. They are steady and constant, as unchanging as the stones beneath your feet and the water in the pond before you. You stand up from the bench slowly, feeling no urgency to move, but simply ready to continue. The path leads away from the pond, back toward the main part of the town. You follow it, your footsteps once again creating that soft, rhythmic sound on the cobblestones. The sound is comforting, a reminder that you are here, that you are moving, that you are part of this quiet evening. The lane you are on now is narrower than before, with cottages on only one side. On the other side is a low stone wall, beyond which you can see fields stretching out into the darkness. The fields are empty and still, their grasses bent slightly by the evening breeze. You can hear the grasses whispering to each other, a sound so soft it is almost not a sound at all, more of a feeling in the air. You pass a cottage with a small wooden gate in front. The gate is open, swinging slightly in the breeze, its hinges making a faint creaking sound. Beyond the gate is a path that leads to the cottage door, lined on either side with stones that have been placed there to mark the way. The path is straight and simple, and you can see where it ends at the doorstep, where a single lamp burns with a low, steady flame. The lane curves again, this time more sharply, and you follow it around the bend. As you do, you notice that the cottages are becoming fewer and farther between. The spaces between them are filled with gardens and small orchards, their trees dark shapes against the sky. You can smell the scent of fruit, faint and sweet, mingling with the other scents of the evening. You pass a cottage with a vegetable garden in front, its rows neat and orderly, even in the darkness. You can see the shapes of plant stall stalks that might be corn, low bushes that might be beans, and sprawling vines that might be squash or pumpkins. The garden is quiet and still, resting after the work of the growing season, waiting for the cooler days ahead. The path continues to wind through the town, leading you past more cottages, more gardens, more small courtyards with fountains and wells. Each space is similar to the last, yet each has its own small details that make it unique, a particular color of shutter, a certain arrangement of flower pots, the way a vine grows up a wall creating a pattern of leaves and shadows. You are walking more slowly now, each step taking just a little longer than the one before. There is no reason to hurry. There is nowhere you need to be. The town will be here tomorrow, just as it is tonight, and the night after that, and the night after that. It is a town that does not change, a place where time moves differently, or perhaps does not move at all. You come to a small square, open and empty, save for a single tree growing in the center. The tree is tall and old, its branches spreading out to create a canopy above. Beneath the tree is a circle of cobblestones, darker than the rest, as if the tree has been there so long that its shadow has permanently stained the ground. You walk to the tree and place your hand on its trunk. The bark is rough and cool under your palm, and you can feel the solidity of the tree, the way it stands firm and unmoving, despite the breeze that stirs its branches. You stand there for a while, your hand on the trunk, feeling the life of the tree beneath the bark, slow and steady, and ancient. When you finally move on, you find that the path has led you to the edge of the town once more. But this is not the same edge where you began. This is a different place, a quieter place, where the cottages give way to open fields and the path becomes less defined. You can still see the faint outline of cobblestones beneath your feet, but they are more widely spaced now, with grass growing up between them. You continue walking, following the path as it leads you out into the fields. The grass on either side is tall and soft, bending gently in the breeze. You can hear the sound of it moving, a whisper that seems to come from all directions at once. The sky above is fully dark now, the stars bright and clear, and the air has grown cooler, carrying with it the scent of earth and grass and distant water. The path continues for a while longer, winding through the fields in a gentle, meandering way. There are no landmarks here, no cottages or walls or trees to mark your progress. There is only the path, the grass, and the sky. You walk on, your steps slow and steady, your breathing deep and even. Eventually the path begins to fade, the cobblestones disappearing entirely, replaced by soft earth and grass. You can still sense where the path should be, a subtle depression in the ground, a slight difference in the texture of the grass, a feeling more than a visible thing. You follow this feeling, trusting it to guide you, and it does, leading you to a place where the ground rises slightly, forming a gentle hill. The hill is not steep or challenging. It rises gradually, the incline so gentle that you barely notice the effort required to climb it. Your legs continue their steady rhythm, step after step, and your breathing remains even and unhurried. The grass beneath your feet is soft and cushioning, bending under your weight and then springing back up after you pass. You can feel the give of the earth beneath the grass, the slight compression with each step, the way the ground supports you completely and without hesitation. As you walk up the hill, you become aware of how the sounds of the town are fading behind you. The distant fountain has become nearly inaudible, just the faintest whisper that you might be imagining rather than actually hearing. The rustle of shutters and the creak of doors have disappeared entirely, replaced by the soft sounds of the open field, the whisper of grass moving in the breeze, the faint chirping of insects settling in for the night, the occasional call of a bird in the distance, preparing to roost. The grass on the hillside is longer than the grass on the path you walked earlier. It reaches up to your ankles, sometimes higher, and as you move through it, you can feel it brushing against your legs, soft and cool and slightly damp from the evening moisture. The grass is not uniform in height or thickness. In some places it grows in thick clumps, and in other places it is more sparse, with patches of bare earth showing through. The variation creates a subtle texture underfoot, a gentle irregularity that keeps your attention engaged without requiring any conscious thought. You continue climbing, and as you do, the view behind you expands. You can see the town now in its entirety, spread out in the valley below, a collection of dark shapes punctuated by the warm glow of windows. The lights are fewer now than they were when you first began walking. Many of the cottages have extinguished their lamps, their windows dark and still, their inhabitants already settling into sleep. Only a handful of lights remain, scattered across the town like small stars that have fallen to earth. The sight of the town from this distance is peaceful and reassuring. It looks small and contained, a place that exists within definite boundaries, that has a clear beginning and end. The cottages cluster together in the center, and as they spread outward toward the edges, they become more spaced out, more separated by gardens and fields. Beyond the outermost cottages, you can see the dark expanse of the surrounding countryside, fields and forests that stretch away into the darkness, merging with the sky at some indistinct point in the distance. The hill continues to rise, and you continue to climb, your pace never faltering, your rhythm never changing. Each step is the same as the one before it. Each breath is the same as the one before it. And in this sameness there is a deep comfort, a sense that everything is as it should be, that nothing unexpected will happen, that you are safe and protected by the very predictability of your own movement. At the top of the hill, you pause and look back the way you came. The town is now fully visible below you, a gentle scattering of buildings and gardens and lanes, all quiet and still in the deepening night. The path you walked is invisible from here, lost in the shadows and the distance, but you know it is there, winding its way through the town, ready to guide the next person who comes along, just as it guided you. You turn away from the town and look ahead. Before you is a wide expanse of grass, soft and inviting, stretching out across the top of the hill. The grass here is shorter than on the hillside, cropped close by the wind and the weather, creating a surface that looks almost like a carpet. The ground is level here, or nearly so, with only the slightest undulations to suggest the contours of the earth beneath. You walk forward a few more paces, feeling the soft grass beneath your feet, feeling the way it cushions each step. The air at the top of the hill is cooler than it was in the town, more open and exposed, with a steady breeze that flows across the hilltop without obstruction. The breeze is gentle and consistent, neither gusting nor dying away, and it carries with it the scent of grass and earth and the distant, faint smell of the sea, though you cannot see the sea from here and do not know how far away it might be. You find a place that feels right, a spot where the grass is particularly soft and thick, and you lower yourself down onto it. The process is slow and deliberate, first kneeling, then sitting, then lying back, each movement controlled and unhurried. The grass receives you gently, bending beneath your weight, conforming to the shape of your body. You can feel the individual blades of grass against your skin, cool and slightly damp, and you can feel the earth beneath the grass, solid and supportive. Once you are lying down, you adjust your position slightly, finding the most comfortable arrangement of your limbs. Your arms rest at your sides, your hands open and relaxed. Your legs extend straight out in front of you, your feet falling naturally to the sides. Your head rests on the grass, supported by the cushioning it provides, and you feel the coolness of the earth through your hair, a pleasant sensation that grounds you in this moment, in this place. Above you, the sky has deepened into full night. The blue has darkened to black, though it is not a pure black, but rather a deep, rich darkness that seems to have dimension and depth. The stars are fully visible now, countless points of light spread across the expanse above you. They do not form recognizable patterns or constellations, or if they do, you do not try to identify them. You simply watch them, letting your eyes move from one star to another, following no particular path or pattern, simply observing. The stars are of different brightnesses. Some are bold and clear, standing out distinctly against the darkness. Others are fainter, barely visible, requiring you to look directly at them to see them at all. And in between these extremes are countless others, creating a gradation of light that fills the entire sky. As you watch, you begin to notice that the stars are not entirely still. They seem to shimmer and flicker very slightly, an effect caused by the atmosphere through which their light must pass to reach your eyes. The grass beneath you continues to support you completely. You are aware of its texture, of the way it presses against your back and legs and arms, creating a sensation that is neither comfortable nor uncomfortable, but simply present. The earth beneath the grass radiates a slight warmth, the retained heat from the day that is now being released slowly into the cool night air. This warmth contrasts with the coolness of the air above you, creating a sense of being suspended between two different states, two different temperatures perfectly balanced between them. Your breathing has slowed even further. Each breath is deep and full, filling your lungs completely, and then each exhale is long and complete, emptying your lungs fully before the next breath begins. The rhythm is so slow now that you are barely aware of it, just a gentle rising and falling of your chest, a movement so subtle that it is almost not a movement at all. With each breath you feel yourself sinking a little more deeply into the grass, a little more fully into the earth, as if you are gradually becoming part of the hillside itself. The sounds around you are faint and distant, the whisper of the breeze moving through the grass, the occasional rustle as some small creature moves through the vegetation nearby, the far-off call of a night bird, so distant that you cannot identify what kind of bird it might be. These sounds do not disturb you or draw your attention away from the stars above. They are simply part of the environment, part of the atmosphere of this place, and they blend together into a gentle background that enhances the silence rather than breaking it. Time seems to have lost its usual meaning. You do not know how long you have been lying here, whether it has been minutes or hours. The stars above have not moved, or if they have, the movement is so slow as to be imperceptible. The breeze continues to blow with the same steady gentleness. The grass continues to support you with the same soft firmness. Everything remains constant, unchanging, and in this constancy there is a deep peace, a sense that nothing more needs to happen, that this moment is complete in itself. Your eyes begin to feel heavy, the lids becoming heavier with each passing moment. You do not fight this heaviness or try to keep your eyes open. You simply allow them to close when they want to close, and when they do, the darkness behind your lids is soft and welcoming. It is not an empty darkness, but a rich one, filled with the afterimages of the stars you were watching, faint points of light that gradually fade away until there is only the darkness itself, pure and complete. With your eyes closed, your other senses become more acute. You are more aware of the texture of the grass beneath you, the way it presses against your body in countless small points of contact. You are more aware of the breeze on your face, the way it flows steadily across your skin, bringing with it the sense of the hillside. You are more aware of the sounds around you, though they seem even fainter now, as if they are coming from very far away, from some distant place that you can barely reach. Your body feels heavier than before, as if gravity has increased its hold on you, pulling you down more firmly into the grass and the earth beneath. This heaviness is not uncomfortable or restrictive. It is a pleasant heaviness, a sense of being anchored and secure, of being held in place by forces larger than yourself. You feel the weight of your arms and legs, the weight of your torso and head, all pressing down into the earth, and you feel the earth pressing back up to meet you, supporting you completely. Your breathing continues its slow, steady rhythm, each breath flowing in and out without effort or thought. The air you breathe in is cool and fresh, filling your lungs with oxygen that your body uses without your conscious involvement. The air you breathe out is warmer, carrying away the carbon dioxide that your body no longer needs. This exchange happens automatically, naturally, and you are only dimly aware of it. Your attention focused more on the sensation of the breath itself than on the mechanics of breathing. As you lie there, you begin to notice how your awareness is changing, becoming softer and less defined. The boundaries between yourself and your surroundings seem to blur slightly. You are still aware that you are lying on a hillside, that you are surrounded by grass, that the stars are above you, and the town is below you. But these facts become less important, less central to your experience. What becomes more central is simply the sensation of existing in this moment, in this place, without any need to do or think or become anything other than what you already are. The sounds around you continue to fade. The whisper of the grass becomes quieter, as if someone is slowly turning down the volume. The rustle of small creatures moving through the vegetation becomes more infrequent, as if they are settling down for the night just as you are. The call of the distant bird has stopped entirely, replaced by a silence that is so complete it almost has a presence of its own, a tangible quality that you can feel surrounding you. Your thoughts, which had been drifting slowly through your mind like clouds across a sky, begin to slow even further. They become less distinct, less formed, losing their sharp edges and clear meanings. What were once complete thoughts become fragments of thoughts, and what were once fragments become mere impressions, vague feelings that have no particular content or direction. And then even these impressions begin to fade, leaving behind only a gentle awareness, a sense of presence without any specific object of awareness. The darkness behind your closed eyes seems to deepen, becoming richer and more enveloping. It is a warm darkness, a comforting darkness, a darkness that does not threaten or frighten, but instead invites you to relax into it, to let go of whatever small tensions or concerns you might still be holding. And you do let go, feeling those tensions dissolve and disappear, feeling yourself becoming lighter and softer and more open. Your sense of your own body begins to change as well. The heaviness that you felt earlier is still there, but it is accompanied now by a kind of lightness, as if your body is simultaneously sinking into the earth and floating above it. The boundaries of your body become less clear. You are not sure exactly where your body ends and the grass begins, where the grass ends and the earth begins, where the earth ends and the air begins. Everything seems to flow together, to merge and blend into a single, unified whole of which you are a part. The breeze on your face continues, but you are less aware of it now as a separate sensation. It is simply part of the overall experience, part of the gentle flowing of everything around you and through you. The coolness of it is still there, but it is a distant coolness, something that you perceive without it affecting you in any strong way. You are simply aware of it, aware that it exists, aware that it is part of this moment. Your breathing has slowed to the point where each breath seems to take an eternity. The inhale is long and slow. The pause between inhale and exhale is long and still. The exhale is long and complete, and the pause before the next inhale is long and empty. This rhythm is so slow that you can barely distinguish one breath from the next. They blend together into a continuous flow, a gentle tide that ebbs and flows without any particular beginning or end. The last traces of awareness begin to fade. The faint sense of lying on a hillside, the distant memory of the town you walked through, the vague impression of the path that brought you here, all of these begin to dissolve and disappear. What remains is simply a state of being, a pure existence without content or context, without past or future, without here or elsewhere. You are simply present, simply aware, simply existing in this moment that is not really a moment at all, but rather an eternal now, a state that has no beginning and will have no end. The darkness is complete now, absolute and total. There is no light, no shadow, no variation in tone or intensity. There is only darkness, and you are within it, or perhaps you are it, or perhaps there is no distinction between you and it at all. The darkness is not something separate from you that you experience. It is something that you are, something that encompasses everything, that holds everything, that is everything. The silence is also complete. There are no sounds, no whispers, no rustles, no distant calls. There is only silence deep and profound, a silence that is not the absence of sound, but rather the presence of stillness, a stillness that fills everything and leaves no room for anything else. And you are part of this stillness, or perhaps you are this stillness, or perhaps there is no distinction between you and it at all. There is no more awareness of breathing. The breath continues, must continue, but you are no longer aware of it. It happens somewhere far away, in some distant part of you that no longer requires your attention or involvement. It simply happens automatically and naturally, without any need for consciousness or will. There is no more awareness of the body. The heaviness and the lightness, the contact with the grass and the earth, the sensations of temperature and texture, all of these have faded away completely. The body continues to exist, must continue to exist, but you are no longer aware of it. It has become part of the darkness and the silence, indistinguishable from them, merged with them, dissolved into them. There is no more awareness of place or time. The hillside, the town, the path, the evening, all of these have disappeared, not because they have ceased to exist, but because they no longer have any meaning or relevance. They are simply gone from your experience, erased from your awareness, leaving no trace behind. What remains is nothing and everything. It is a state beyond description, beyond language, beyond thought. It is rest in its purest form, peace in its most complete expression, stillness in its absolute totality. It is the place where all journeys end, and all seekers find what they have been seeking. It is the destination that has no location, the arrival that requires no travel, the home that has always been here, waiting for you to remember it. And in this place, in this state, in this moment that is not a moment, you rest. You rest completely, fully, without any reservation or resistance. You rest as the earth rests, as the stars rest, as the universe itself rests in the eternal now that is always present, always available, always here. You rest, And in this rest you find everything you need, everything you have ever needed, everything that exists. There is nothing more to seek, nothing more to find, nothing more to become. There is only this rest, this peace, this stillness, and it is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything, and you are part of it, inseparable from it, one with it now and forever, in this eternal moment of perfect rest and perfect peace and perfect stillness.